let's say you and I both believe. I think the government's going to shut down at midnight tonight. On the American economy, what reaction can we expect?
I think it's going to reverberate, number one, across Wall Street. And I think that we could really see some stocks going down. But I think also just on Main Street, the confidence in the government, if there is a government shutdown, the first time in 17 years that this would happen. You know, Congress has such a dismal approval rating, enough as it is.
Yeah.
How much lower can they get? And the bigger battle, Bill, that we're just around the corner from is, of course, the debt ceiling.
Yeah.
And so really for the next month, these financial issues are really going to take center stage. And I think that as the nation continues to inch out of this this recession, the economy is just going to be front and center.
So we have been inching out of the recession. This is just going to reverse the direction, correct?
I think as far as consumer confidence goes, it's going to serve a huge blow to consumer confidence on Wall Street and Main Street.
Well, so what happened to the word certainty? I thought this was the Republicans' mantra, right? We need certainty for investors. We need certainty for Wall Street, which means we have to have the government on a steady course, right?
Well, it's an excellent point. But they placed a larger bet on attacking Obamacare, and it's part of this larger narrative for them that they view will rally the base ahead of 2014 to force incumbent candidates in Democratic swing districts to have to vote on Obamacare. But then on the flip side, even looking longer term, before Obamacare, there was Hillary Care, and so they're hedging their bets that the American people are going to not be so sure about Obamacare, but they've tied it to this continuing resolution. And you know, the timing of this, what makes this so remarkable is that lurking in the shadows is this debt ceiling debate.
Yeah. So even if we get over this hump, right, we have a bigger hump and a more destructive potential hump in the debt ceiling, which is now slated for October 17th. They've got to deal with it by then. So I want to come back. So definitely you believe we will see an impact in terms of the market. The market's going to crash.
I don't think it's going to crash.
But I mean, it's going to
I think
fall.
I think
it's been steadily going up. It's what, 15,400 or 15,300 or something in that range right now, right?
Yeah, and I think, my colleague and I, MJ Lee, we just reported on this on Friday. I think that, they're looking at what's going on right now, just like the rest of the country, and they're scratching their heads. What's going on? Why can't there be some sort of deal? And the fascinating debate. The next 24 hours are going to be remarkable from a political theater standpoint, because you're going to see the Senate have to take up this new House plan, and they are likely
sometime today,
probably around noon, and they're going to likely strip out the delay in Obamacare. Then they're going to kick it back to the House. And Speaker Boehner has a huge decision to make. Is he going to be able to rally the troops and get something done, or is he going to play hardball? And will there be a government shutdown?
You talk about one of the things about how Americans are viewing Congress and all of this. CNN put out a poll just as the show was kicking off about 40 minutes ago, saying that in their poll, Americans largely blame Republicans, or would blame Republicans if the government did shut down. But I love this language. The poll also indicates that most Americans think Republicans in Congress are acting like spoiled children in this fiscal fight, with the public divided on whether or not the president is acting like a spoiled child or a responsible adult. So that's how we're putting things now. That's the terms of how we're handling business in Congress now.
All right, I want to come back to some of the impact of this. So in terms of the economic impact, right? Also, you're going to have 800,000 people not getting a paycheck. That's got to have an impact. I mean, they're not going out to restaurants. They're not going to the coffee shop. They're not.
Exactly. I mean, there's a delay. There's a sense of delay. I mean, think about this. If people aren't getting their paychecks, but even just from a larger sense, the most damaging part of this government shutdown is this feeling of uncertainty and this feeling that the government can't get its act together. I don't think, I grew up right outside of Philadelphia, Delaware County, suburban Philly, and I was just home over the weekend. I think that there's this larger sense of people can't really understand why they're expected to make sure that the bills get paid on time. They're expected to work together. And then they look at their lawmakers and they're seeing this dynamic, and And it's like, what's going on?
Housing market, you mentioned housing. I mean, that's another thing. If they're not able to process federal loans, right?
Well, when you look at the
federal
loans,
guarantees for loans,
federal guarantees for loans, and
that's
so
going to slow down the housing market.
You can see that, but we're right around the corner. I cover specifically the Senate Banking Committee for Politico, and the next issue after this whole debt ceiling that both Chairman Johnson and Ranking Member Crapo on the Banking Committee that they're really looking to tackle is this Fannie and Freddie wind down, and some GSE reform, and so they're hoping to get some sort of plan by the end of the year. As a reporter, I'm looking at this and I'm looking at everything that's going on. And you look at some of those ambitious initiatives where there seems to be a lot of bipartisan consensus on how to wind down Fannie and Freddie. Senator Bob Corker, a Republican from Tennessee, someone much more middle of the road who has been leading this effort with Senator Warner, a Democrat. There are consensus on these issues, but the partisanship that something like the debt ceiling debate and, of course, now this government shutdown, how that's impacting some of these other fiscal issues that are equally as important, if to some extent more important, with housing and federal loans, it's unknown. And it's, again, that feeling of uncertainty.